Alrighty, hey guys, welcome back to another tutorial. Today we're going to be talking about party morale. As you can see down here, party morale is a good 100, never goes down. And by the way, 100 is the highest it can go, because as you can see, I have over 100, but the 100 is the cap pretty much. But yeah, let's talk about party morale. I made a huge list of everything that really has to do with it. I'm going to put it on the screen right now, and I'm going to slowly read off of it, and I'm going to add some comments to each point and help you guys, get that 100, keep it 100, and go from there. So party morale equals your base plus recent events plus personal plus food variety plus wages. Now I'm going to go over every single point in that equation and how it relates. So let's start with base. Your base is always 50. If we go down here again, as you can see, base is 50. Right from the start, you'll always be 50, regardless of any other, anything else. Never goes up, never goes down, stays 50. Now your recent events, they can go up and down. As you can see, my recent events is only 5, which is very low, but that's because I don't have much to do in this world anymore. As you can see, all this stuff is mine, pretty much, so I can't really win any big battles or anything. But okay, let's do this. So recent events are fights, sieges, hideouts, quests. Pretty much, if you win them or if you complete them, you gain morale. If you lose, if you fail a quest, you lose it. Very simple. Retreating results in a morale loss and troop loss. Huge wins when you're heavily outnumbered. Let's say you have 100, the other team has 300, right? Other side has 300. You will gain more morale the better odds you have. Same way as you gain more influence in those fights, and renown. Same way with morale, pretty much. Recent food loss or starvation, or when troops desert, that's a loss of morale as well. Like, if you run out of food, people are going to start starving. If you don't have wages, which I'm going to get down to on the bottom, you also lose morale for that as well. That goes into the personal category. Not for the personal, for the leaders, for the recent events category. And for the recent events, I didn't put it on the list, but I'm going to add it right now. It does depreciate over time. I should have added that, but yes, it does depreciate over time. The list I'm going to post in the description will have that added. Okay, now let's move on to personal. So personal, as you can see, that's the highest one I have right now, and that has to do with your leadership skill. Let's go to leadership skill. So I had a couple saves, and they all were different leadership. So I pretty much what it comes down to. If you press the I right here, you can see what your morale gain is because of your leadership. But what I would say is, like, it's 2.5 levels of leadership equals 1 morale. Like, pretty much, it's as close as I could get it. But so as you can tell, it's like every 5 levels of leadership you get 2 morale. That's how much you see it, and it's permanent. It does not go away. So if you have the base of 50 and you keep raising your leadership as fast as you can, your morale will never really dip. Even if you have like the worst negatives that I'm going to talk about very soon, you'll still be fine with, you'll still either be a high, or like a high 80, high 90, or you'll be 100, regardless. So this is a very important one. I would say it's the main one when it comes to this. So yeah. Now let's talk about food variety. Can go up and down. As you can see, mine is -2 right now, and I'm going to tell you exactly why. So if we go to inventory, it just matters how much different types of food you have. Not how much you have. As you can see, I have a lot, but it's the types. I think I only have one type. Yeah, I only have fish. I only have 1,000 of fish, right? I don't really mind, because like I said, I have the personal. My leadership skill is very high, so the food variety doesn't really matter. I just make sure they're fed. So let's do this. Food variety, it's -2 if you have one type, -1 if you have 2 types, 0 if you have 3 types, and then +1 for each new kind after that. The highest I've gotten to is +10. That's with every single food in the game. That's hard to do, especially with a large army, because they're going to go through it faster than you can get it. But if you can keep more than 3, you'll always be in the positive. So yeah. Now, like I said right here, bigger armies require more food, and food runs out a lot faster. If you run out of food, you get -30 morale, which is very bad. plus troops will start deserting, they will start starving, and eventually dying. So make sure you always have food. Always make sure you have food. And like I said in another tutorial, if you have a big army and you need a lot of food quick, go to your nearest body of water, right? And go to the villages that are right next to it. They usually produce fish, and they usually have a huge stockpile. So if you need food real quick, just like a big amount, any place with a body of water, the town next to it, they will usually have a big supply of fish. But yeah. And the next one is wages. If you do not pay your troops, morale goes down and troops will desert. Same way as if you run out of food, is the same thing with wages. If you can't pay them, they're not going to be very happy. Now, that's pretty much the that's the equation pretty much. Party morale equals base plus recent events plus personal plus food variety plus wages. Now, let's move on to the next part of the video, which is skills to help morale. And then after that, we're going to do perks of high morale. But let's do skills first. So just a quick announcement. I'm talking about the skills that benefit your morale, not skills that benefit from you having a high morale. Because if you look at some skills, I think there's some skills like if you have a high morale, you have a better chance of doing something, or if you have a high morale, you get an influence. I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about the ones that help you raise your morale, if that makes sense. So let's start out with war rations. That's in the steward perk, level 125 required. And as you can see, food consumption reduced by 20%. Why does this help? It's called war rations. But why does this help is because talking about food variety and pretty much not starving. So it really helps you helps reduce the time that it takes for them to eat the food. So in terms, you will still have more types and more food available for your troops. So it kind of helps indirectly, but I feel like it still counts. Now the next one is going to be Spartan, and that's in the athletics one. It's at 250. As you can see, party food consumption and wage decreased by 5%. So this helps your food consumption and your wage, which are both part of that equation we just talked about. Now we got Plain Hunter for crossbow at 100. Plus 0.5 food in grassland, which is this equation right here that you have right here. So this will go up plus 0.5 if you're in grassland. And then you have forest hunter and marsh hunter in the bow, which are level 75. And these are pretty much the same thing. It's either you have plus 0.5 food in marshes or plus 0.5 food in forests. Then you have all the 4 lore skills. I think they have to do with areas as well. And that's in the scouting. Right here. Yeah, all 4 of these. We got forest lore, desert lore, hills lore, and marshes lore. And they pretty much have food consumption in those areas, whichever ones you pick, which is also very good for food variety and, you know, not starving. Then we have Inspiring Attacker or Stalwart. I don't know how to say that word. Stalwart Defender. And that's in 50 of leadership. If we go right here. Additional 20 morale at the beginning of a battle when you are attacking, or pretty much the opposite when you're defending. This one doesn't really it's not a permanent effect, but it's like a small time effect whenever, you know, you either attack or you defend, whichever one you choose. Now we have For the Thrill, which is 75 roguery. I didn't say that right either. But it's a 10% increased morale gain from raiding villages. Again, it's kind of situational, but it does for the short time when you're raiding your village, it does help the morale. Now we have Standard Bearer at the 50 polearm. And that is 15% morale to troops in formation at the start of a battle. Even if you press F1, F3, that's considered a formation. So it helps if you decide to level up polearm. Some people do. I usually stick to one-handed. Most of my things in bows, right? But, you know, I've tried two-handed before and stuff like that. So if you do polearm, it's a good one. Now let's move on to the third and last part. Perks of having high morale. Why do you want high morale, right? So the first one is increased party speed. If we look at, put this up, my party speed, as you can see, there's a high morale thing right below the prisoners, plus 0.17. Hey, it's just 0.17, but every point counts when it comes to speed. So that's good. You have troops will not desert your army. That's the main reason to keep your morale high, because if your morale is high, your troops won't desert you. They'll stay with you. And then the third one, technically they will fight better, but I can't. I've been looking it up. I don't know. I can't really find any proof of that, but I'm pretty sure it's in like the game's code, right? They'll fight better for you. They won't retreat as much or whatever and stuff like that. But I've had low morale and high morale, and you know it was kind of similar when it came to fights. But I don't know. But increased party speed and the troops will not desert you is, in my opinion, the two main reasons, right? But yeah, like I said before, this list will be down below. Hopefully this helped. Hopefully this was informative. I'm going to do one on influence. I'm going to do like a full breakdown, everything that can help, everything that can do that. And let me know what else you guys want me to talk about, make videos about. Appreciate all the support and stay safe.